What is the best way to describe university and college students?
Responsible.
Responsible. The answer is broke. Because with all this fuss of tuition fees, debt, and taxes, never has a word more aptly described the daily collective lives of students around the world. But with being a student also comes certain perks and discounts that may really help you spend less and save more. So whether you're a current or future student, you're in luck because in this video, I, the charismatic traveler, will share with you some essential info on the perks you're entitled to minimize your spendings. Let's get into it. If you're an international student, the first thing to explain is that being a student in Stirling or the rest of the UK grants you a sort of socio-economic status that is recognized nationwide. What this means is that there will be many public and private services that provide incentives to students in the form of discounts or perks. One of these is council tax exemption. Let me explain. As you move to Stirling, you'll be registered as a resident and therefore will normally have to pay for council tax as well as water charges. This money you pay basically covers the funding for all local services of the city: rubbish collection, the police, the fire brigade, and of course, the water from your tap. The amount you have to pay is assessed based on different factors such as the size of your household and the valuation band of your property. It also requires you to pay this amount in small increments, usually over the course of a few months. Hey, sorry. This is an example of a bill you might receive, and as you can see, sorry, it ain't cheap. And this is only for a 7-month period. But this is where the good news comes in, because as full-time university students, you'll be completely exempt from having to pay those bills. However, you need to be aware that there are certain criteria you need to fulfill in order to be considered a full-time student. If you want to know more, check out this follow-up guide on how to apply for exemption. But there are two other important things to keep in mind. Number one, the exemption needs to be renewed every time you move properties. It's really annoying. Even though you've already proved that you are indeed a full-time student, the council still requires you to prove it to them again whenever you change flats. I call it bureaucratic amnesia. And number two, from the moment you're not a student anymore, your exemption will expire and you'll begin to be charged the council tax. The mistake that many people make is thinking that they stop being a student the day that they graduate or whenever their student card expires, when in fact, it's the day their program officially ends that counts, which is often much earlier than that. To illustrate, let's say you live in a private flat in Stirling. You're a 4th-year student and your degree has officially ended on the 6th of June. You decide to keep living in your flat for the rest of the month until your graduation date on the 25th of June. Well, that entire period from the 6th till the 25th, you're technically not considered a student anymore and will have to pay for a council tax bill. Not many people know this info, and neither the university nor the council really openly talk about it, which often leads to many graduates receiving this surprise email in late summer.
Dear student, you have an outstanding amount in your balance. Pay up or we're gonna sue your ass. Cordially.
And you might say, you're exaggerating. 3 weeks surely is not a lot of money. £77 I had to pay. What do you think I'm made up of money? I make videos on YouTube, for God's sake. Let's calm down. The only way to avoid this is if you left your current flat and returned home on or before the end date of your program. You can find that info in your own certificate of enrollment. Simply check where it specifies the start and expected end date. And if you have any more questions regarding the council bills, despite my little banter, the council staff are a very helpful and responsive bunch, so don't hesitate to contact them. With so much to explore in Scotland, you'll very likely need to hop on a train at least a few times during your studies. The UK's railway system is quite extensive and expensive, but it's probably the most efficient way to get around the country when you don't drive. So next time you take the train, you'll be very glad to have one of these rail cards with you, because these handy little cards offer sweet discounts on train fares up to 1/3 off your ticket prices, which can quickly make you save lots of money if you plan to go in and out Stirling on a regular basis. The 16 1925 rail card is specifically tailored for people in that age bracket and thus are a perfect fit to most students. And if you're a mature student, fear not, because the same applies to you and you will also be eligible for this rail card. These can be ordered as a physical card or a digital one you can have directly on your phone, and you'll just need to show it along with your ticket when controllers ask for them. The price is currently set at £30 for an entire year or £23 per year if you take the 3-year deal, equating to around £70 total. A real bargain. But it's important to note that if you open a UK student account with certain banks in Scotland, you may get the option to receive a free rail card with them. Santander is one of the banks that offers this, and I've included some links down below for you to check out. Oh, and to those wondering, no, I'm not paid by Santander to say this, although if anyone from Santander is listening, let's make some calls, you know, I've got £77 to pay back. And since we're on the topic of transportation, let's talk about the vehicles you'll likely use the most to travel to and from the university's campus. Godly beings like me simply use our teleportation powers,
but mere mortals like you might prefer other alternatives. How do I get back in?
A few moments later.
Firstly, one of the most underrated ways to get around is by cycling. There are a few bike shops in and around Stirling where you can buy your own, but you also have the option to hire one with Next Bike. This service has different stations located on campus and in the city center, and it allows you to use and hire a bike for free for the first 30 minutes. After that, you'll be charged 50p every 30 minutes. So you better get pedaling, and fast. But if you're just traveling from campus to city center, that's the perfect amount of time you need, since it only takes around 20 minutes or so to cycle that distance. And with the construction of new cycling paths created recently by the Stirling Council, it's never been smoother and safer for people to cycle to uni. As a whole, it's a cheap, quick, and environmentally friendly way to get around, but it might not be ideal depending on the weather and how much stuff you're carrying with you. The UniLink or UL buses bring you comfortably to and from campus in only about 15 minutes. That's when they're not late or overcrowded. But you know what they say, beggars can be choosers. If only. Bro. You'll also be able to get a discounted student fare at around £3.20 for a return ticket. But if you're under 22, you may be eligible for free bus travel with the Young Scot card. Now, the free bus travel itself will only be valid until you're 22, but don't throw away the card after that, because it can still be used to obtain various discounts at different venues and services. So if you want me to make a more detailed video about this handy little card and all the benefits that it has to offer, make sure to let me know in the comments down below. We've covered essential topics like council tax and transportation, but there are various other smaller discounts on services you might want to obtain. For instance, a nifty discount to mention is with the Amazon Prime membership. As a student, you can get a free 6-month trial on the Prime service that you can cancel anytime, and after that, the price will just be half of what you would usually pay. On another topic, watching movies at the cinema is certainly a favorite option for group outings, but it can very quickly become an unaffordable luxury depending on which theater you attend. So you'll be glad to know that not only is there a cinema located directly on campus here at Stirling, it also gives unbeatable prices for student tickets. At only £2.50, the MacRobert Arts Centre provides by far the best bargain on the market, and it's right there below the atrium area. And on top of that, the MacRobert is a charity, so every ticket you buy is a donation that supports your local art scene. And it's on that note that we conclude this video. As always, if you've enjoyed or want to learn more about Stirling, you know the jazz, like, share, and subscribe. This was the Charismatic Traveler, and I'll see you in the next video.